Hello everyone, this is Erin Peliquin from MCP Actions. Today I'm going to show you how to use the Eye Doctor and Dentist action for Photoshop elements. The first thing you want to do before using your action is install them into Photoshop elements. We have videos available on mcpactions.com on the page where you purchase the product that will show you how to install these actions. We also have PDF instructions that came with your action download. So you have both video and written instructions for helping you installing these actions. Now the Eye Doctor installs two ways in Photoshop Elements depending on when you purchase the action. If you purchased it before October of 2010, your action will be accessed in Photoshop Elements 7, 8, and 9 through the Guided Edit Action Player, which can be found right here. If you purchased your action after October of 2010, you will access your action in the Full Edit and the Effects palette. Also, if you're using Elements 5 or 6, no matter when you purchase the action, you will access it here in the Effects palette. The version of Elements that I'm using is Photoshop Elements 9. Your elements might look different if you're using an earlier version or a later version. However, you should be able to access everything in just about the same way, if not exactly the same way. So most of you will be accessing the Eye Doctor through the Effects palette. If you don't see the Effects palette over here, usually on the right side of your screen, you will go to the Window menu and click on Effects. You also want to make sure that your Layers palette is visible. That means it should have a check mark next to it, and your Layers palette will look something like this. I'm going to use this photo to show you how to use the Eye Doctor and Dentist. In order to access these actions, in the Effects palette, you are going to click the third button from the left, which says Photo Effects, if you hover your mouse over it. Then you are going to select from the drop-down menu MCP, Eye Doctor, and Dentist, and you'll see your two actions here. Starting with the Eye Doctor, I'm going to double-click, and you will see that the action has run. I've made my layers palette a bit larger now so that we can see all the layers at the same time. Using the Eye Doctor, it's usually best to start on the top layer and work down. You can see from the layer name what each different layer does. We have Enhance Catch Lights, Brighten the Iris, Brighten the Whites, Darken the Pupil, Sharp as a Tack. I am going to start by zooming in so that I'm closer to the eyes, and I do that by typing Control and the plus sign. And then I'm going to center the eyes on the screen, and starting on the Enhance Catch Lights layer, I'm going to make sure that there is a white outline around my layer mask. That white outline plus the layer being highlighted means that this layer mask is active for editing. Now I'm going to select my brush tool. The shortcut for that is B, and the size of my brush is obviously much too big, so I am going to decrease it. Doesn't matter exactly what size because I can decrease it more when I'm actually on the eye. And I am going to select a soft round airbrush. Now if you don't, there's several different views possible for the brushes. If you don't see this list view and you like this view, you can change the appearance over here using thumbnails or the large list, which is what I have. Now I'm going to select a soft round airbrush. Again, it doesn't matter what size because I'll adjust it when I have my cursor over the eye and I can actually see what size I need. I'm going to make this much smaller. Because I want it to be, for this Enhanced Catch Lights layer, about the same size as the catch light. So to make the brush smaller, I could either use the slider up here at the top, or I can use my right-facing bracket key, the square bracket that is just above the enter sign, the enter key on my keyboard. So I have got the brush selected. The next thing I want to do is make sure that my foreground color is white because I'm painting on a black layer mask to reveal the effect. So I'm going to just click once over the catch light, and I'll do the same on the other eye. Now, I think that's a bit bright, so I am going to reduce the opacity of this layer to about 50%. I think that's good. Now for the brighten the iris, I am just going to paint very quickly around the colored part of the eye. I want my brush to be a bit smaller, so again I'm using the right facing square bracket, and I am going to quickly paint around the iris just to lighten it up a bit and bring out some color. Notice that I'm avoiding the catch lights. Might make the brush just a bit smaller and work right up here on the side and right up here just to get more of a full circle there. Okay, next I'll go to the brighten the whites layer, and I'm going to increase my brush size by typing the left facing bracket key just a bit, and I'm going to just make one pass over the whites of her eyes on both sides. And I'll do the same on this eye. Now notice that I did go over into her iris a bit, so to fix that I'm going to switch my paint color to black by typing the X key, and I'm just going to brush right there where I overspilled. Now I think that the whites might be just a bit more bright than actually looks natural, so I am going to reduce the opacity of this layer just a bit to probably about 15%. Okay, and I think that looks more normal. Now this darken the pupil, I don't use it every time, but when I do use it, there are two ways in which I might do it. The first way is if the pupil is not looking pure black, I will make the size of my brush be exactly the size of the pupil, and with a white brush I'll just click once over the pupil. Another way to do it is to use this level is to make your brush very small and use this layer like eyeliner. You could do it just at the corners of the eyes, or you could do it all the way around. Depends on the person, their age, and their style, I suppose. So I don't think that's necessary at all on this image, but I did want to show you how to use it if you want to use it. I'm going to turn the layer off by clicking on the eyeball. And now to finish up with this action, I'm going to go to the Sharp as a Tack layer. Note that when the layer is active, the white outline can either be around the thumbnail image or around the layer mask. To reveal the sharpening, you only want to paint on the layer mask, so double check that this white outline is around your layer mask. Now I'm going to make my brush, I think my brush is about the right size. I'm going to double check that I do have white paint in the foreground, and I am going to use this layer a bit like digital mascara. So I am going to brush over her entire eye, including the eyeline and the lashes. And see how it does make everything just a bit darker. It's going to darken up the lashes and darken up the iris as well. And at this point, I sometimes decide to come back up to brighten the iris and increase the opacity just a bit to offset some of the sharpening darkness effect that comes with it. So now I'm going to zoom out and show you a before and after on the eyes. This is after. That's before. So you can see how much the color and the clarity of the eyes pop. And again, I usually end by zooming out, and that shortcut is Control and the minus sign. And I get a better picture of whether there are any layers whose opacities need to be adjusted. I might bring down on this one the catch lights just a bit more. And now I think I'm good. So I'm going to zoom back in now and work on these teeth. First off, I'm going to start by flattening the image. And Elements is giving me this message asking me if I want to discard the hidden layers. That means that it's just going to throw away this Darken the Pupil layer that we're not using. And so I'll say OK. Then I'll double click on the dentist. And I'll start here on this brush teeth layer with a brush that's a bit smaller. And I'll just quickly, with my white brush, go over the teeth. You can see that this shines them up just a bit. And now the Polish Your Teeth layer is going to brighten them. And again, I'll make the same brush stroke. And I'm going to end with the Whiten Your Teeth. This is going to further brighten the teeth and make them more white. Now this layer in particular you might need to do a opacity adjustment on, because you don't want the teeth to look unnaturally white. I think those are probably a bit too white, so I'm going to reduce the opacity to about 57–60%, something like that. And now I am going to toggle the effects of the action off and on so that you can see the whitening effect of the action. That is how you use it. If you have any questions, you can contact me at my email address, which is Erin, E-R-I-N, @mcpactions.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy your actions.